and welcome to a new episode of Digital Coffee Gaming Brew, and I'm your host, Brett Deister. If you could please subscribe to this podcast and or follow, because that's a new term on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, that would be greatly appreciated. We're going to be talking about Baldur's Gate 3, Star Wars Outlaws, S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2, a little bit about my preview, played a little bit about it, Steam updates, and the ever-loving favorite, the Game Awards, why it doesn't matter, and the stupidity of allowing journalists to have more say than the actual gamers themselves, and just the controversy behind the new system of Game of the Year that adds DLCs plus season passes and everything else that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But let's get on with the show. That's good. All right, so Baldur's Gate 3 came out last year, and surprisingly, it actually has more player this year than its actual launch year. Yes, it looks like it has steadily gone up because every new RPG game that's come out this year just hasn't been as good. I'm looking at you, Dragon Age Veilguard. You have been a massively terrible game to a lot of gamers, and congratulations on ruining BioWare, your own reputation on that. Plus Star Wars Outlaw, not that good either. So there has been a lot of great options for RPGs yet. We have Avowed coming out next year, but that's a little bit a ways away. We also have Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 coming out next year. So we don't really have a lot of great RPG games out right now. I mean, you have Dragon's Dogma, but still, that came out either this year or last year, and it's still a really great game. You also have Star Wars The Old Republic, that's MMO, but it is basically revamping itself as well. So you have games, but they're usually the older ones that are good, and the newer ones aren't as good anymore. I wonder why. Maybe it's because game developers aren't making games for gamers anymore. Weird. Plus, even if Baldur's Gate 3 is quote unquote woke, it gives you the option of not being woke. So that has it going for it, unlike other games that preach to you that you should be woke, and everybody's like, I'm good, I'm just going to play something else. You all can have your weird preachiness on non-binary, which basically means non-reality things. That it. Anyways, moving on to Star Wars Outlaw, and yes, it finally came out on, or is close to coming out on Steam, and nobody cares, and there's a reason why. But also, the good news is it's ditching its forced stealth option with the game. Apparently in the game, there were some missions where you had to be stealth, and if you weren't stealth, you were quote unquote caught, and you had to restart from whatever save position you had. It was very annoying, but now you can just shoot your way out, which is a little bit more of a smuggler type way of doing it if you get caught. But at least they're fixing their mistakes on a terrible game, so maybe it will be less terrible than what it actually is, because no one's playing it and no one cares to play it because it's so terrible. Only Reddit people love this game, because Reddit is Reddit for a reason. They're all stupid. Anyways, moving on to S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 Heart of Chernobyl is out now, and it's actually quite fun. Yes, I do actually appreciate S.T.A.L.K.E.R. It was a little frustrating in the beginning, so I had to figure out how to turn on the light, because it's not the normal way of turning on a light. But beyond that, it's actually good. The graphics are great. The game is fun. It has its quirks like the other S.T.A.L.K.E.R games. And it is a fun romp so far. I got through the prologue and I'm still in the beginning of the game, but it's still fun. I still have to up. Every weapon I pick up from a dead person is either almost broken or semi close to broken, which is funny. And I always have to repair it before selling it because I can't sell it off with it almost being broken. Hilarious. And it's actually really expensive to repair. Even more hilarious. So I'm actually wasting more money doing that and just dropping them. But it's funny. I think it's funny all in general. It's a fun game so far. It's like a distraction shooter, except without the other players. You don't have to worry about cheating unless the AI is really good, and then they have to figure that out. But you don't have to worry about cheating. That's where we're at. So also the game did launch or did ship with Unreal Engine 5.1, which is not 5.5. Maybe they'll eventually upgrade to 5.5, which might help with a lot of the other issues it's having. It is having some issues. I didn't run into a bug that basically got me out of the game. So it's not carefree, but the funny part is it's a game that understands gamers and the developer understands gamers, which is funny because it's coming from a Ukrainian developer that country is still going through a war that, on all intensive purposes, we started, but it's still better than what all of the Western developers have actually done, which is funny saying that the Ukrainians understand gamers better than the Western publishers and devs understand gamers. They aren't preaching to me. It's just, you're a guy, you're a stalker, and you're on an adventure to be a stalker, a loner. Weird how they would understand the male gamers so well. And it's fun. It's hard, it's brutal, but it's fun. I'm not getting too upset about it if I die, because it's my fault if I died, but it is fun and they actually understand us, and it's a fun game and you should actually try it. Anyways, moving on to Steam news. So Steam has tightened up the rules regarding season pass DLCs. You have to commit to completing the content on time, as it says. So basically what it is, that if you were giving a launch date for your DLC / season pass, it has to be on that date, or you can push it out. 3 months is the max. If it goes longer, then you have to refund and you have to contact Valve for that. So this is basically like saying, hey, if you guys are going to say there's a season pass / DLC, you have to commit to it and you actually have to finish it. It cannot be unfinished. And if you don't, you'll have to give the money back to the gamers. I'm okay with this. This is fine with me, because there has been this like rampant thing where the season pass really is out, but it's not what they said it was. And so I think Valve's just, hey, look, if you're going to say that it's going to come with all this stuff, then it has to come with all this stuff. You can't just say it's going to come with this stuff, release it, and it doesn't really come out with all this stuff. It's just basically saying, own up to your word, own up to what you're promising, and actually deliver it, which is fine with me, because Valve has always been more about pro customer than it has been publisher. I'm not saying that it doesn't have rules for that as well. I was just saying it's tilted towards that way, and that's why people love Steam so much. But I'm glad that this rule has changed, because it needed to be changed. It needed to actually be a little bit more focused and make sure that developers and publishers are promising what they say they're going to actually be doing. Anyways, moving on to, I talked about it last week, but the ADL stupidity that it is. So, U.S. Senator decided that it needed to write to Valve because things, but it was Mark Warner, which is a Democrat from Virginia, decided that it needed to write to Valve saying, you need to crack down on hateful things because the ADL said so. By the way, you know what the ADL said was extremist hate symbols? Pepe was 54.6% of the quote-unquote extremist symbols detected. It is a meme frog, and it is hilarious that is even up there. Next is swastika at 9.1%. So you can't make this up anymore. It's like, why is it that it's almost 55% of it is just Pepe the frog, the meme frog, which I own crypto now in Pepe the meme coin. So apparently I would be considered extremist by the ADL because they're stupid. It doesn't matter. It is a damn frog that you decided was extreme. Then it goes on with the siege mask, whichever that is, the Nazi eagle, the old law, the seagull. There's The Confederate flag, which is 1.3%. Ooh, the SS Bolt, which is 1.2%. And there's a few, like a lot of other things, but they go increasingly more and more down, which then becomes 0% for a lot of these other things. And it's okay. That's great. Like the Hamas flag, 198. And they clock that as 0%. So it's probably 0.0000001 something. Like seriously, great. The Hamas flag. What does that have to do with anything? The Hamas emblem. What does that have to do with anything? That's actually a country. Now you're saying an extremist is now a country. Hamas isn't really a country. It's just a terrorist organization, but it's people in a country, and Hamas doesn't do anything in here anyways. Like, I'm not in favor of the Palestinian Islamic Jihad either, or Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, but that is also a thing. There's also Hezbollah, which is 0.1%, and there's Africa Corps symbol, which is 0.1%. There's a burning cross, which, to be honest, that's more of a hate symbol for Christianity than it is for Judaism. The Happy Merchant, the ISIS flag, the Celtic cross, the blood drop cross. There's some weird things where I'm like, that's what we're concerned about? Like, it's so few, it doesn't even matter. Like I said, the only thing you're mad about is the Pepe the Frog meme. Got it, ADL. You're doing the Lord's work. Like, I get it. Gamers love to meme you too, and they love to do this stuff because you hate it so much. Apparently, the top extremist of hateful copy pastes on Steam is the swastika at 51.1%. The N-word image is 9.8%. Jewish protection knife, which I don't even understand that one. Hitler image is 1.9%, and it goes down and down. The problem is that you bring so much attention to this, you say it's terrible and hateful. Guess what's going to happen? People are going to want to do it more. Stop. Like, just turn your eyes away. I don't even see it on Steam because I'm not looking for it on Steam. I'm really not. If you are specifically looking for this, that's the bigger problem. It's dumb. Like, why? Yeah, people have profile pictures, yeah, but you're looking for it. That's the problem. How much attention do these people get before your stupid little report? Probably not very much. It really doesn't matter. Like 1.8 million unique pieces, 1.5 million unique users. Out of how many people on Steam? There's approximately 152 million distinct images of Steam profiles or groups, avatars evaluated by Hate Vision, which whatever that means. 493,954 contain potentially extremist symbols. We're not sure yet, but there's a potential it may be extremist. Come on. It's a joke. Like, I get it. There's things that are on there, but it's still a joke. It's the biggest joke I've ever seen. Because you have to understand how many people are on Steam, and I'm pretty sure it's more north towards 1 billion users, to 1.8 million unique pieces to 1.5 million unique users, and 73,824 groups. Out of how many? That's the problem. They don't tell you how many of these, because if they did, it would be so insignificant and so low. You don't have to join the groups. You don't have to do that. You don't have to look at the happy merchants. You don't have to look at the swastikas. You don't have to look at any of this. The problem is that they went willingly to find these. That's the problem. You go find them. You go looking for them. You will find them. That's the biggest issue right now. I don't really care. Nobody cares about this stuff. We all know it's on Steam. We don't care because it isn't that relevant or prevalent in Steam anyways. There's a group of people that do that. They're in a few groups. They actually believe it. It's for the memes and it's for attention. And you gave them attention. Congratulations. And the senator is still stupid. Anyways, moving on to my thing. Oh, the Game Awards, and why I keep on saying the Game Awards doesn't matter. It's like the Oscars. They're stupid. They're really dumb. But the controversy surrounds it is basically DLCs, expansion packs, and remakes and remasters are eligible for the Game Awards. The Game Awards aims to recognize the best creative and technical work each year, irrespective of the format of that content's release. So why does it matter if there's a year on this now? Expansion packs, new game seasons, DLCs, remakes, remasters are eligible in all categories if the jury deems the new creative and technical work to be worthy of a nomination. Factors such as newness of the content. Newness of the content. If it's an old game, it's not new. Why is this so dumb? Factors such as, I already said that, and its price value should be taken into consideration. The content's not going to be new if it's a remaster remake because it's already done. They just make it look prettier. Oh my god, like this is so dumb. But apparently Elden Ring can now actually win Game of the Year again because of its DLC. Which, to be fair, From Software's DLC is like a normal game because it's so huge. But the worst part is, and I love this, that the nomination is by internationally of over 100 global media and influencer outlets. Yeah, that's always great. It was selected for their history of critical video game evaluations. And the voting is blended between jury 90%, which is not really blended, and fan voting 10%. So who the hell cares if you vote? Because it doesn't really matter. And by the way, the illustrious gaming in the US is Digital Trends, fine. They actually are somewhat in the gaming realm. Easy Allies, which I don't know what that is. Entertainment Weekly, which is not about gaming whatsoever. Game Rant, fine. GamerX, fine. Gamertag Radio, never heard of. GamesBeat, fine. GameStop, fine. Giant Bomb, fine. IGN, questionable, but fine. Inverse, at least it's one of the better ones. Jeff Gertzman Show, never heard of him. Funny, yeah, I've heard of it. LA Times, because it totally is all about gaming. Min-Max, never heard of. And New York Times Wirecutter, which is usually more tech focused anyways. PC Gamer, fine, at least it's about gaming. Pride.com, nothing about gaming. Polygon, they're terrible, but fine, they're at least about gaming. Rolling Stones, about music. Atlantic, nothing about gaming. Touch Arcade, which sounds really interesting. Keeping you in touch with the latest in iPhone gaming. Yes, that's a great one. NPR, because totally they're all about gaming and variety. Come on, guys. Like, Jeff, seriously? Like, this is can I just get some people to put on my thing? I just need you to be influential. And you said influencers, and I seen like 2. UK is discussing film because, yes. Edge, I really haven't heard of it. Eurogamer, fine. Games Radar, fine. Gaming Bible, sure. Metro Games Central, at least has game in there. PC Game SN, The Guardian. These are funny. The Mirror, VG 24/7, and VGC. So at least the last 2 were about gaming, and then quote unquote global. There's Cultura Geek. There's another one I can't pronounce. Australia's Press Start, fine. Stevivor, never heard of it. Games Hub, fine. Skill Up, fine. And it goes on, and there's some gaming ones and there's some not. And it's really funny. It's, wait, what? This is 90%. And in the US, you put LA Times, Variety, Entertainment Weekly, Easy Allies, Pride.com, and Touch Arcade, which is just about iPhones games, and Rolling Stone and the Atlantic had nothing to do with gaming. At least the New York Times Wirecutter is similar. At least Touch Arcade is, well, about iPhone gaming, but seriously, like, I wouldn't trust them at all. So what is the point? Like, seriously, what is the point? And then they have esports. Esports, fine. I haven't heard most of these because I don't really follow esports at all. It doesn't make any sense. The problem with this format is that if it's a games award, you probably should do a 50-50 split, because journalists hate gamers, especially gaming journalists hate gamers. I don't know why, because that's your target audience for who you want to write for, but apparently they hate gamers. So you hate gamers, but Jeff, you want them to be part of this to nominate games. When for the most part, gamers, what games they like, what gaming journalists like, rarely mix. Sometimes they do. But like Black Myth, gamers loved and the gaming journalists didn't. But the gaming journalists loved Star Wars Outlaws, but gamers hated Star Wars Outlaws. The gaming journalists loved Dragon Age Veilguard, and all the gamers were scratching their head going, this is awful. Why? That's the issue. So I think you should have a category for Game of the Year Gamers Edition for the gamers, and then have your own little like soiree for the journalists, because the journalists are just so hoity-toity in how much they love all these woke, awful games. Because really, it just doesn't make any sense to me. The US one is particularly appalling. Rolling Stones, really? That's bad. Rolling Stones is about music. Entertainment Weekly is about pop culture, which I guess is fine, but LA Times is, well, it's just a crappy newspaper anyways. And Pride.com, we all know what that is, so why is it even there? Easy Allies, I still don't know what that is, but I'm pretty sure I can figure it out. And Gamertag Radio, I've never heard of this. I guess I'm old. But seriously, we really shouldn't care about this. I'm just talking about it because it's funny. And I've said this over the years. The gaming awards means nothing about what you think is a good game. Because if you like playing a game that isn't popular, that's fine. It's great. I wholeheartedly say play the games that you want to play. Who cares if it's popular or not? Because not everybody's going to agree. It's art to a certain extent, and that's very subjective. And just like movies, the critics, when they love a movie, is pretty bad. I've seen the critics' movies they pick for Oscars, and I'm like, this is an awful movie. Like it's just hoity-toity, like higher upper class. Like I want to fall asleep during these movies, because they're just so boring about life. And I live life. I don't need a movie about life. So I think once and for all, let's get rid of Game Awards. They're trying to trademark Game Awards anyways, which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard of someone trying to trademark. Name it something, not the Game Awards. Come on, Jeff. Seriously. You can't even be creative enough to actually name it something creative. You want to just call it the awards? The awards of games. That's what we'll name it now. The awards of games. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you nominate, because you are 10% of the vote anyways. And the rest of the 90% are the self-entitled idiots that really don't understand life and hate you. But anyways, thank you for listening to Digital Coffee Gaming Brew. I really do appreciate it. I will be gone on a cruise, so there will be no new episode next week. But please subscribe to this and share it with your friend, or follow, because that's a thing. Comment below on what you think is the best game for you. And see you next week. Later.